Okay, let's jump right in. We're stepping into a high-stakes medical mystery today. Imagine you're in the emergency room. A patient's life is hanging in the balance, and the one clue you need to save them? It's hidden in plain sight, right there in their vitals. Let's solve this together.
So here's the scene. You've got a patient with a serious chest wound. Initially, their blood pressure is 100 over 60, and their heart is just hammering away at 120 beats a minute. But things are changing, and they're changing fast. You get a new set of vitals, and one of these is a massive red flag for a life or death condition. The question is, which one?
We can't just guess here. To find the real answer, we've got to understand what's physically happening inside our patient. This isn't just about the numbers themselves. It's about what story those numbers are trying to tell us. So, what in the world is a pericardial tamponade? Let's pull back the curtain and see how this whole emergency gets started. We need to look at what's going on inside the chest and the dangerous chain reaction that this injury has kicked off.
Okay, think of it like this. Your heart sits inside this little protective bag called the pericardium. And normally, there's just a tiny bit of fluid in there to keep things running smoothly. But with our trauma patient, blood is leaking into that bag. And because that bag doesn't stretch, the blood has nowhere to go. It just builds up, creating this intense pressure crisis that is literally squeezing the life out of the heart.
And that pressure, well, it sets off this disastrous sequence of events. First, the blood pools in the sac. Then the pressure just builds and builds. Pretty soon, the heart muscle can't contract properly. It's being squeezed too tight. And just as bad, it can't fully relax to fill up with blood for the next beat. The pump is failing. Simple as that. And when that happens, every single second counts. Now, here's what's so fascinating about this. This whole internal crisis, this battle going on inside the chest, sends out a very specific signal. And it's a signal we can actually see with something as simple as a blood pressure cuff. We just have to know what we're looking for. So, let's do a super quick refresher on blood pressure. You've got two numbers, right? The top one, the systolic, that's the pressure when your heart is actively squeezing, pumping blood out. The bottom one, the diastolic, that's the pressure when your heart relaxes to fill back up. So it's pump and rest. Systolic, diastolic. Got it. And this is the secret sauce. The difference between those two numbers. It's called the pulse pressure. The math is as simple as it gets. You just subtract the bottom number from the top. But in this case, it might just be the most important calculation you can make. It tells you exactly how much oomph the heart is generating with every beat. Okay, here's the big reveal. When that fluid is squeezing the heart, that pulse pressure, it gets narrow, dangerously narrow. The top and bottom numbers of the blood pressure start getting closer and closer together. But why does that happen? It all comes down to simple physics. Because the heart can't squeeze hard, that top number, the systolic pressure, starts to drop. At the same time, because the heart can't fully relax and there's still a lot of pressure in the system, that bottom number, the diastolic, starts to creep up. So you see what's happening? The top number is falling, the bottom number is rising, and the space between them just shrinks. That's our narrow pulse pressure. That's the signal. All right, we've got our secret weapon now. We know exactly what to look for, the narrowest pulse pressure. So let's go back to those options and finally do the math. Okay, let's run these numbers together. Option A, 80 minus 40, that gives us a pulse pressure of 40. Okay, option B, 90 minus 70, that's 20. Whoa, okay, that's narrow. Let's keep going. Option C, 104 minus 70 is 34. And option D, 160 minus 90, that's a really wide pulse pressure of 70. I think the answer is starting to scream at us. And there it is, the number 20. The blood pressure of 90 over 70 gives us by far the smallest, tightest, narrowest pulse pressure of the bunch. It might look subtle on paper, but in the ER, that's a siren going off. So our answer is B. That dangerously narrow pulse pressure of 20 is the textbook sign we were hunting for. It's the heart's way of telling us, hey, I'm being squeezed in here. I can't do my job. We found the signal, we've made the diagnosis, and now the trauma team can act immediately to relieve that pressure and save this person's life. And really, that's the big takeaway, isn't it? It's not always the loudest, most dramatic number that tells you what's going on. Sometimes, the most critical clue is hidden in the quiet space between two numbers. And paying attention to that small, narrowing gap, well, it can make all the difference in the world. It can absolutely save a life.